The car maker Nissan is cutting 12,500 jobs around the world as its profits have plunged. That's more than double the number of job losses it announced back in May. This as the company tries to deal with the fallout from the arrest of its former chairman, Carlos Ghosn. Well, our business editor, Stephen Carroll, joins me now in the studio for more. Stephen, what exactly has gone wrong at Nissan?
Well, globally, car makers are facing a slowdown in sales in some of the biggest markets, Europe, the United States. So this is a problem facing the industry as a whole, but Nissan in particular has its own problems, partly linked to the ill effects of an aggressive expansion strategy the company had been pursuing. The job cuts, 12,500 jobs to go, more than we had expected, represents around 9% of the company's global workforce. We don't have the exact details yet of exactly where those jobs will be cut. We understand they'll be outside of Japan. This, as we've seen, some really pretty abysmal profit figures from the company. Operating profits down 98% for this period from April to June. That's compared to the same period last year. Again, even worse than we had been expecting, because we had been expecting pretty poor numbers from Nissan. Now, this is not a new trend. We know that the annual results from Nissan announced back earlier in the year showed operating profits down 45% compared to the previous year. Sales were down as well by about 4%. And in that, the United States, one of the poorest performing markets.
And has this, do you think, got anything to do with Carlos Ghosn, who of course is still in custody in Japan, charged with financial misconduct?
Charges that he denies, of course, but this is nothing particularly to do with his arrest, but it is linked to the strategy that was pursued, as he was the man who created the company as it is now, really. In particular, he'd pushed Nissan's expansion in the United States. Nissan heavily discounted its cars there as it tried to build market share, but that led to a lower value for the brand in general, and also was seen as having hurt its image and also, of course, hurting its profits too. The head of Nissan's audit committee says that its deteriorating performance in the United States is a big issue the company is going to have to face. They're now trying to focus on growing the brand. More broadly, the company is going through a leadership change, not only because Carlos Ghosn is gone, but also because its CEO, Hiroto Saikawa, the company is looking for a replacement for him as well. Other issues facing the company, of course, it's having to rebuild its relationship with Renault. Tricky, as Carlos Ghosn is no longer in the picture.
And Nissan isn't the only car maker cutting jobs right now.
No, and in the past few months we've had announcement of huge job cuts from the likes of Ford, cutting 12,000 jobs in Europe. Volkswagen announced it was cutting another 7,000 jobs earlier in this year. And last November, General Motors said that it was cutting some 14,000 jobs. And there are a couple of things going on here. One is the general slowing demand I mentioned earlier. The US-China trade war also impacting this industry. And then there's a broader change affecting the industry as a whole as people move more towards electric cars. We've got the development of autonomous driving technology as well. That's going to mean a big change for the manufacturing of cars around the world, as essentially they're going to have to upgrade or change or close down some of their plants to adapt to a changing world, and there could be many more cuts to come in the future.